What is going on, YouTube? Today we are talking about short stories and some of my favorite short story writers. Now, when it comes to short stories, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. A short story is not capable of containing everything that a novel can. And it is important to understand that before picking up a short story collection. Because a short story simply cannot go into the depth of world building or characterization that a novel can. And oftentimes a short story is going to be focused on a certain scene or message. But of course, all of this varies from short story to short story. For there are some short stories that are only 5 to 10 pages, while others are 60 to 70. Another thing to consider is that short stories are often an opportunity for authors to experiment, whether that be with different styles, genres, or ideas. And therefore, the stories in a singular collection are not going to be as uniform as a novel. But in the same way that short stories differ from novels, so too does the way that you read them. Because when it comes to reading a novel, that is typically something you're going to want to read all the way through. But the same thing does not apply to a short story collection. You can skip around choosing stories based off of their titles or their length, and you don't need to read the entire book all at once. You can read one story every couple of months and it will not take away from the reading experience. Because the short stories aren't building on top of one another in the same way that a novel is. And my favorite thing about reading short stories is that it gives you an opportunity to try different authors without as big of a commitment. Because while there are people who read 50, 100, 200 books in a year, not everybody has that much time. Sometimes you only have time to read a couple of books a year, and therefore you need to be a lot more selective about what you read. But short stories allow you to preview an author's style without first having to commit to an entire novel. So with all of that being said, here are 9 of my favorite short story authors. But before we get into those books, a quick word from our sponsor, which is my book, The Crumbling of a Nation, a collection of 14 dystopian short stories. And so if you've already tried out all of my suggestions or you don't find anything that appeals to you in here, maybe you'll find something you enjoy in my book. But enough about that. Let's get to the books. Starting with George Saunders. His stories are often speculative and contain a lot of social commentary and are absolutely hilarious. Next on the list is Ray Bradbury, who offers quite a bit of different genres within his writing. He has short story collections that are focused entirely on space. He has short story collections that are entirely horror. But no matter which collection it is that you are reading of his, you can find that same desire to embrace everything that is humanity and the things that we are capable of. Next on the list, we have Haruki Murakami. If you've read any of his novels, you can expect the same kind of vibes in his short stories. They are very surreal and dreamlike. And though it always seems at the beginning to be set in reality, there's always some sort of fantastical element that flips the world on its head. And then we have the short stories of Jorge Luis Borges, who is an absolute master of short stories. So much so that he can tell the most mind-boggling story in 10 pages or less. His stories are heavily philosophical and contain that classic magical realism that you can find in so many Latin American authors. Authors like our next on the list, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who like Borges also has those elements of magical realism. But like his novels, his short stories also contain a lot of political conflict, while also exploring the themes of love. Next on the list, we have William Saroyan, who is without a doubt the most unknown person on this list. The thing that I love about William Saroyan is the optimism that his writing contains. His novels and his short stories are incredibly sentimental. And in a time like today where everything is so divisive and it's so hard to have faith in humanity, William Saroyan might be able to restore at least a little bit of that faith. And then we have Ernest Hemingway, who today is so well known for his novels. It was really his short stories that originally put him on the map. Like his novels, his short stories explore war and nature and masculinity, while also wrestling with the ups and downs of life and love and humanity. And in a similar vein, we have F. Scott Fitzgerald, who too, like Hemingway, is so well known for his novels, but really it was the short stories that brought him so much early fame. Similar to his novels, Fitzgerald's stories explore the American dream and the jazz age and wealth and all those things that aren't really relatable today to the average person. But for me, it is his lyrical writing that keeps me coming back. Because like his novels, his writing is often so beautiful. And then last on this list, we have Kurt Vonnegut. If you have ever read any Kurt Vonnegut book, you already know what you can expect from his short stories. Because it is in his short stories that he gets to explore the ideas that he often throws away to kill Gore Trout, who you know very well if you are a fan of Kurt Vonnegut. But that's all that I have for you guys today. If there are any short story authors that you think that I missed, please let me know in the comments below. And if you are a fan of videos like this, make sure to hit subscribe. I post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Another thank you to our sponsor, The Crumbling of a Nation and Other Stories, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the TikTok Shop. Speaking of the TikTok Shop, you can also follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Substack. Links in the description. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.